Right, so where were we? Yeah, right. Yes, misogyny. Oh, here we go. Like I said, it's a buzzword. Don't use it, and don't use buzzwords unless you've got reasons. You know, just give me reasons rather than using buzzwords and slurs, which are just designed as labels, ad hominem attacks. You know, it's anti-intellectual what you're doing here, B said. It really is. Have you ever raised this subject before, pro-life, in a previous video? If so, please provide a link. I can't remember. I just can't remember when it was. I must have mentioned it at some point, yeah. I doubt he will answer this in the comments section. Oh, I'll just have to wait with bated breath until the next instalment of his Judge Judy reply to videos. Judge Judy. The font of wisdom will then pronounce his final judgment on my comments, no doubt accompanied by silly voices and the occasional ad hominem. Oh, you have the nerves talking about ad hominem to me. Finally, please take me up on my offer to meet up, filmed, with the woman that I mentioned. By the way, they're not raving lefty feminists. They're just incredibly brave women with horrific experiences who had to make life-changing, incredibly difficult choices. Sure, if you like, yeah, any time. Although, like I said, I could. It's a game we could play at any time with anyone. Yeah, and I actually sounds and I feel the next reply to comments video is going to be a really good one. And B said this will be a first. All from the safety of your bedsit. And I said here, well, why watch them if they can't be that bad? And BZ says, to be honest, the last tranche, I would rarely get past the first 10 minutes or 20 minutes or so. I think I posted such in their respective comments sections. You're arrogant plus narcissism personified. Watching your videos is not my positive endorsement of their content. I have other reasons for viewing them. All right. So I say underneath to him, yeah, well, I have to make the first 20 minutes fulfill your reason as much as possible. I'm done. BZ Garzan said, raising my head above the parapet has really pissed you off. No, it hasn't, BZ. I'm absolutely fine with that. So much that you're going to do your Judge Judy replies tos out of chronological order just to deal with me. PMSL. That's Steve Mumblingism. Make your reply to my OP in the comments, you coward, instead of making a video reply. Why is it cowardly not to make a video reply, BZ? Why is that? What difference does it make? Brackets. Your excuse being you haven't got time. But you've got time for a back and forth now, close brackets, that I have no way of rebutting. I have zero desire to stick my mug in front of a video camera or speak publicly. Well, BZ, you have it here. What's the problem? What's the problem with me making this video right now? What's the problem with that? I don't get it. This is just an excuse. You are the one making excuses now. You're making excuses. You're saying you don't like the way I do it. You're obviously angry, and you're just lashing out with your anger with these silly comments. You really are, because I've said something you don't agree with, and well, that's too bad. BZ says, considering the question marks at the end of your reply, you're asking me a question, and it would be rude not to respond. Yes, that's all for now. Because I was actually joking. So anyway, if you want the last word on this thread, this is it. Okay, so I let BZ have the last word on the thread. Okay, BZ, well, now you can have another word because I've done this comments reply video. Okay? Go ahead. Gareth Davis Memorial Livestream. Crazy John said, hi, Ben, I would be interested in Blu-rays and normal DVDs if they end up at a loss as what to do with them all, as me and Gareth have a massive interest of physical media and would talk about what films we had got each week constantly. R.I.P. Gareth, you will be missed. Oh, thanks, Crazy John. You know, I will have a word with Karen about that. But the problem is, I think it's maybe too late. I think she may have given them to charity shops by now, because this was like a couple of months ago now. But I'll check with her. Okay. I know someone else said they wanted I think Zed Kaler said that he might be interested in some too. It'd be really tragic if they end up getting pulped and thrown away. I did suggest she contacts MUFON, that are based in Orange County, which is just next door to Los Angeles. I'm just going to put this here. Gary Jones, hope you're doing well, Ben. Thanks, Gary. Oh, this is on events this week. This is a new video I put up. I was going to make it just like notices, but I thought, no, I'll do it, make it a proper video. Oh, don't. I didn't start the timer. Foolish me. Hang on, yeah, don't worry. It's I've only been going for a short while. It's I was replying to BZ about 5 minutes. I'll probably go 5 minutes over. Hang on. What I'll do is I'll just trash that and say 55 minutes. It's never exactly right, though, is it? Hang on. No. Right, here we go. Right. 55:00. There we go. 55 minutes. There we go. That's about right. I think that'll probably be about right. It's never exact, anyway. But Gary Jones says on what events this week, you mindsets should carry on the podcast. Oh, well, Reeves is producing his own version, his independent version of... he's producing an independent version of the Paracast. As for the rest of us, we have something called Third Rail Radio, which we set up in 2017. Because we thought Gareth was entering Mindset Central back then. So we decided to set up our own independent one. So it's essentially we wanted to carry on when Gareth left off. So we basically set up a replacement for Mindset Podcast, which is called Third Rail Radio. It's still going. It's currently when Gareth came back, we carried on with it. It's currently on its 108th show. So check that out. As for Mindset itself, I think it's Gareth's thing, and I wouldn't want to be involved with that. I think we should just leave it like that. I think events this week again. And Marley Pumpkin says, it's amazing how obsessed you are with someone you met 3 times in a pub who was an online friend. The world is crazy, and so are you. Who are you talking about? Oh, you're not talking about Gareth, are you? Oh, gosh. Yeah. That's bad. I'm deleting this comment, you piece of shit. Fuck off. Go fuck yourself. Crazy John says here on Gareth Davis Dies, I really do think he will come through a medium one time in the future. I'm sure I'll be waiting for that day. I for sure will be waiting for that day. Me too. He may well, possibly in ways we don't expect, he'll find a way of getting back to us, But, spirits often do. They really do. Patrick Patel. Hi, Patrick. How you doing? On events this week. Ben, after watching Planet of the Apes today, I'm convinced I'm an ape. I honestly think I resemble a primate, especially when my beard goes long. And I've always had these after rather long gibbony arms and my bum is relatively small. I've always wondered, maybe I can swing from tree to tree better than most people if I train myself to do that, of course. The thing is, you are a primate, Patrick. We all are. Humans are primates. We all are a type of ape. If you resemble another species of ape, that's interesting. But anyway, here we go. I'll let me carry on. What if the really advanced technology once existed in the distant past? The white race, who were somehow the possessors of this technology, possibly inherited from their own Atlantean or extraterrestrial ancestors, created the black race as a slave race, hence the Bible Genesis 1:26. Then God said, let us make man or primate in our image. No, I think what it was, funnily enough, what you've just described is very similar to a quite common archetypal African myth that can be found among the Zulus and some cultures in West Africa. Although it's not white, it's not a race of humans who actually creates them as slaves. It's actually extraterrestrials. They're known as the Chitauri among the Zulus, and they're called the Nomo among the Dogons. But it's interesting. It's perfectly possible, although it's possible that it may not be confined to Africa. It may be that other races. It could be that humans of all races were created for that purpose. He carries on. They fused primate or indigenous creatures of Earth genes with white race extraterrestrial man genes. This is funny. You put extraterrestrial, white race extraterrestrial in brackets. Are you suggesting that white people are from another planet? I don't think so. I don't think that's. You see, it is. If you say extraterrestrial, I agree with you, but I don't think it's another race from this Earth that did it. I think it is extraterrestrials. If you see Ancient Aliens, and read Eric von Daniken, that's very interesting. If you will, to create the new Homo sapiens superior or hybrid of a primate and an extraterrestrial, or quite simply the black race. Oh, you're not scared of controversy, are you, Patrick? You see, the thing is, like, you talk about the primates. These may refer to the fact that humans possibly not just one race or another, but all humans come from this source. That is, they were originally. We are created out of upright ape creatures, and that it was extraterrestrials essentially engineered us. There are certain features, for example, our nose is very unique, the way the nostrils point down, the fact that we have our skin is actually more like a pig skin than an ape skin. You know, the fact we have very little bodily hair, things like that. Although that's not just black people, that's all people. He carries on here. The leader of the white race, who was regarded as the commander and God, and his soldiers were regarded as the obedient and loyal angels. God, the great dictator, and his once most trusted lieutenant, Lucifer, or Lightbringer, were both white. Adam and Eve were both white. Adam and Eve were both black. That's an interpretation of Genesis, although it's not. Again, I don't think it's people on this earth. They were obedient all-rounder slaves, designed in the way to maximize efficiency because they were equipped with improved physical strength, such as increased testosterone levels, better skin because it was tweaked a little, i.e. reinforced with more pigment to protect it from the harmful UV rays, premature aging and cancer. There's certainly, now, I think the origins of this was actually natural, not artificial. But certainly people who are exposed to hot sunshine for many, many generations develop darker skins, which is why people whose origins do lie within the tropics tend to have dark skins, and people whose origins lie within the temperate and polar regions have light skins. And it is to do with sunshine exposure, you're right. But I don't think it may well not be genetic. It could be that that's how we were designed, but it could easily have evolved naturally. Because, like I said, if we essentially were genetically engineered, it was by extraterrestrials. Maybe the iris of the eye was also tweaked to make it more pigmented, so they don't suffer serious eye problems from the UV rays too. Their hair too caused it to become more coarse, water-resistant, and durable. Yeah, I've heard it said like that black people tend to have brown or black eyes, because because it's to do again with UV rays, sunshine, UV rays. Their hair apparently is very good at dealing with heat, like hot sunshine. Whereas me, I've got no hair at all anyway, but white people's hair is thinner, it tends to hang down more, rather than getting into these very coarse, tight curls. But again, this is something that could evolve naturally. If you were thousands of years, people will change according to the environment they're in. Maybe Lucifer rebelled because he fell out with his leader and tried to free Adam and Eve. But so-called God blackened his name by associating him with evil via his Bible stories and his Hollywood movies. Everyone started calling him Satan instead of his true name, Lucifer. I wonder what you think of my opinion, Ben. Please let me know. Thanks. Well, it's interesting. Patrick Patel. That's interesting. I'm glad you're not scared of being politically incorrect, because neither am I. It's what you've described, as I said, is a possibility. However, you seem to have got the idea that one race of beings evolved naturally, and then they did the engineering. You say here, advanced technology in the distant past from the white race. From what I've seen, of ancient aliens, it actually was not anyone who evolved naturally on this earth. It was beings from another world who came here, and they evolved. They helped evolution along in creating the modern human. And I don't think there's any differences. If the differences between the races it's possible they were engineered by the extraterrestrials to suit their creation, their offspring, whatever they are, if they were hybrids, to the environment they were living in. Because of course the Earth's habitat varies enormously from equator to pole. But then that could also have evolved naturally. It's the sort of thing that could have simply emerged naturally after 500,000 years of living in a certain part of the world. March for Life, Patrick Patel says, interesting and insightful, Ben, thanks. But Patrick, that's all I can say about your position there. Gareth Davis Memorial Livestream, Patrick Patel. I love your blue shirt, nostalgic. Reminded me of David Icke from a few years ago. Patrick, I actually got that shirt for that reason. I did. Events this week, Gary Robertson. Hey Ben, mate, another video that didn't appear on my feed. Cheers. Oh, you're welcome, Gary, but it's bad you as well. I mean, this is happening everywhere now. You know, this bloody shadow banning is really gets me down. It really does. Okay. Gary Robinson says on March for Life. Many years ago, I worked as a web developer in London. I had an interview for a contract job at a place near Euston, and seconds before I was ushered into the room, they told me I was going to be interviewed by 5 people, which threw me off a little. It went very well, and I managed to strike up a good rapport with them. However, at the end of the interview, they unexpectedly told me that they wanted to know my views on abortion, as it would affect the outcome of the interview. Being in my early 20s and knowing F all about this world, I admitted to them that, in all honesty, I'd not given it any thought and that I didn't know enough about it to comment. They seemed to respect me for my honesty, so I was sure I'd get the job. I didn't get the job. Oh my goodness, so it's a contract job at a place near Houston. Which industry, Gary? Be interesting to know. Because I know I know the civil service, because I applied for a civil service job once, and I was interviewed by a panel, and there were 5 people, and they asked me some strange things. They asked me what I thought of the Channel Tunnel and football hooliganism. Okay, for some reason in my then went on and did my 9/11 20th anniversary, and for some reason I had it was the OBS. The OBS settings seem to default to this ridiculous position where you can't see anything. Well, you don't hear anything. You don't see, either the camera doesn't work or the mic doesn't work. It's bloody annoying. It really is. Anyway, 9/11 20th anniversary live stream. Frank Triggs said, "You went live while I was at band practice. I missed the live. It was still the 10th when you went live." P.S. All right. Well, you watched the Frank. I hope you enjoyed the recording. P.S. There was a statement from the FDA or CDC that 50% were placebo. All right, that's the V word you're talking about. I guess that anyone who's never had adverse reactions. Also, hackers who hacked a passport app found 4 designations: Jade, placebo, not Jade, and recovered. All right, it's interesting. I never saw that statement. I don't think they would admit that publicly, Frank. I mean, it's possibly all right. They have actually. This is an experiment with a placebo, but. Maiden fan said underneath, "I agree with you, Frank. I've often pondered if not some 50% were placebos. I've had my second AZ back in May. Never had any ill effects, though. I've just got over a cold that included lower back pains. I've never had with any cold before." Maiden, I'm sorry to hear that. You know what I think about what you did, but I don't want you to come to any harm. I really don't, and I hope that it's not a connection with the two things. BZ Garson says, "It's standard practice to use 2 control groups when testing out V words in the 3rd stage trial. One control group is given a placebo, the other the V word. Data can be gathered, amongst other metrics, to see if health events are raised in the control group that receives the V word. Heart attacks, strokes, etc. It's expected that the control group receiving the V word will experience minor health effects, such as soreness at the injection site, fever, aches, flu-like symptoms. It's because the VZ is so prevalent that the number in the control groups, each group had over 30,000 volunteers, that efficacy could be determined in normal times. A control group will only consist of a few thousand people. These are not normal times. It's common for stage 3 trials for every vaccine that has been developed for the last 3 years. All V words are constantly monitored, even the ones that have been around for decades: measles, polio, many others." Oh, so you're saying basically that they decided, rather than doing trials in series, they decided to do them in parallel, and that has the same effect as trials in series. I don't have an answer for you there, BZ, whether that is actually true or not. I'll look into it, because I'm sure that someone will have commented on this. Maiden fan said on the 9/11 20th anniversary live stream, "I heard the radio show, very interesting. Learned some things I hadn't thought about before. Seems to me it was a setup. So they had a casus belli to go to war, And the Bin Laden shooting was to keep the lie believable to say we got him. I noticed when it was reported they used courtroom-style drawings of the event and not actual photos. Yeah, I mean, you're right about all that, and indeed, there was a photo published. It's very interesting. There was a photo published. It went around the media. Then someone suddenly discovered it was actually a still from a computer game. Yep, no retraction was printed in most outlets. Gareth Davis Memorial livestream. Dead American Media. I had no idea. A very big loss to the world. R.I.P. Gareth. Oh, Dead American Media. I'm so sorry you had to find out this way. I really am. 9/11 anniversary live stream. BZ Garson. If people tell you something, stating as a fact in the chat, why do you never ask for them for a source? Researching you ain't. Yes, I do, though. I do. I don't accept what they say as true without that. I do ask them for a source many, many times. Sometimes it's not always possible to provide them, and I just say, okay, that's interesting, and I move on. But that doesn't mean I accept what they say as read. 20th anniversary live stream for 9/11. Mixes and sets. I can't believe 9/11 was 20 years ago. It's gone by so quickly. It really has, hasn't it? Yeah. Oh, it's a big long thread now. Patrick Patel. R.I.P. all the victims of 9/11. Yeah, exactly. That includes the 3,000 in New York, but also how God knows how many have been killed in these wars. Dag Jab says, how do you know anyone died? I'm pretty convinced that the planes that flew into the WTC were not real airliners. So what happened to all the people who were meant to be on board? Did they even take off or even exist? All right, yeah, I agree that I don't think that there were real planes that flew into the buildings. However, there were real flights listed. Now, some of the passenger inventory, there's something dodgy about some of the passenger inventory. Yet some of the people actually were found to have existed. They've been, they actually have come. The relatives have actually been detected. It seems above board. Where they are, I don't know. I don't like to say. They're probably not in a good place. Say that much. Patrick says, I'm on about the people who are in the buildings and around it, not to mention the people who are still dying from it with cancer and other lung diseases because they were exposed to the toxic WTC dust clouds. All right. Well, Patrick, they were people. I mean, there were people in the buildings. I mean, I know the brother of one of them, one of the guys who died. I know people who saw it happen. I know people who were in the area. There were people there. Patrick Patel says to Dag Jab. Also, if you haven't read Alice in Wonderland on the World Trade Center disaster by David Icke, you ought to read it. You can purchase the book from eBay or Amazon, probably. I recall I read it back in 2007. Good information in it. Yeah. It's a very good book. Really good book. Dag Jab says to Patrick, I haven't read it in full, but I know what's in it, and I've listened to a lot of talks by David Icke about 9/11. Patrick Patel. Dag, I agree with you totally, Dag. It just doesn't add up. Everyone started questioning 9/11 WTC attacks in an intellectually... If everyone started questioning the 9/11 attacks in an intellectually honest way, like how we do, then it's most probably we'd be able to solve a lot of the problems in this world. Yeah, Patrick, we would, yes. Dag Jab. I agree, but most people don't use their intellect. They have a knee-jerk reaction towards someone who is coming from a different viewpoint. And the people who are really 9/11 and other events know that people will be arguing and fighting amongst themselves. Unfortunately, at the beginning, Dag, I think you're referring to the NPC phenomenon. It's a disturbing revelation. But a large number of people, I mean, the non-player character meme is a bit insulting, I know. But the fact is there are some people, it's not a judgment on them, who do seem to have no internal dialogue. In other words, they can't think thoughts that are not implanted in their heads through external mental stimuli. And once they have those, you see, all of us get thoughts in our heads from external mental stimuli, but some of us sort of can think about it for a while and sometimes change our mind completely on our internal dialogue, simply by thinking it through inside our own heads. NPCs can't do this. They literally are incapable of changing their mind on anything until another external stimuli enters their brain. They can only do it in response to another external stimuli, external mental stimuli, stimulus. Yeah. And people who are really 9/11, who are really 9/11 other events, know that people will be arguing and fighting amongst themselves. Well, yeah, I don't really have time for this whole. I have my own ideas about what 9/11 was. I don't get into long debates with thermite believers and things like that. I often if they turn nasty with me, I just block them and get rid of them, you know. But Patrick says, so true, my friend Dag. I know even though it wasn't most probably the Taliban who were responsible for 9/11, I still don't like the Taliban at all because they're a bunch of brainwashed idiots. You know, a lot of ordinary people don't like them Talibans. Well, me neither. I mean, I don't think the Taliban had anything to do with 9/11. Bin Laden didn't. Al-Qaeda didn't. But obviously, no. I mean, you'd have to be one of them to like them. So obstinately devoted to their man-made religions and prejudice towards others that, like you said, they can't accept other people's sincere viewpoints. Sadly, a bunch of bigots, if you ask me. Yeah. They have their legal system is based on the Sharia. You know, it's a sad that that they have this idea. Although Saudi Arabia has a similar system, and they're the beloved of the great wonderful West, aren't they? Dag says to Patrick, the fact that the Taliban, as you say, are a bunch of brainwashed idiots. This is the reason why most people still believe they carried out the attacks. But looking at how unlikely it would have been for them to do such a thing, especially under the very strict airspace of the United States and the fact that they couldn't even fly a small plane, the whole Al-Qaeda did it is just nonsense. But try telling the average Joe, oh, you're just saying nobody died then, are you? No idea what happened to the actual passengers and crew aboard those planes, but I'm sure the WTC planes weren't real, not forgetting that Bin Laden was basically a CIA asset because he didn't carry out the attacks. Yeah. Even bringing up the background to Bin Laden and the fact that during the 80s he was their darling in the Mujahideen. The problem is, like, it's difficult to explain this to people who are new to it, and a lot of the criticism Dr. Judy Wood gets is that, oh well, this is going to put people off. They don't say, well, you're wrong because. They say, oh, you're just going to put people off because this is too crazy. You know, no planes. Beams of energy and things like that. But the question is, people say this about the reptilians too. Don't mention the lizards; it'll put people off. They won't understand it; they'll just think you're crazy. Well, the problem is things don't become less true. Even if it is a big red pill to swallow, it doesn't make them less true. Which means you're in a position where you have to say, okay, well, are you suggesting I lie to them then? 9/11 20th anniversary live stream. Ben, you're a proper funny man. Always light-hearted humour, insightful at the same time, too. Oh, thanks, Patrick. How'd you like that? 9/11. Tessa says, how many lookalikes did Bin Laden have? The one shown in Pakistan was a tad short. Yeah, Tessa. Yeah, there was the Bin Laden with the weird big nose, and there was the fatty Bin Laden, wasn't there? Do you remember those pictures of a huge, gross man with a big smile on his face? But obviously not the same guy. Jag Jam says, can't believe people still think he was behind the attacks. Well, a lot of people, like I say, cannot think otherwise unless they come across information. A lot of the propaganda you see to do with 9/11 in the media is to try and make them reject the alternative information as soon as they come across it. Trevor Murray said, you should respect Brian Cox. Oh, yes, I do. He thinks I'm a knobber, but I have to respect him nonetheless. Reply to comments 46. Charles Scott says, I do not want to be a referee, nor is it an argument, because Charles Unleashed, aka Charles from Project Camelot, repeated slanderous claims, and they are proven false. I suspect he deleted his Charles Unleashed account in an attempt to hide the evidence presented in the screenshots on Facebook. See reply to comments 45. I wanted you to understand his repeated slanderous claim is proven to be false, which you have acknowledged as being the case. Regardless of his motivations for such defamation, he is a scoundrel and the dregs of society, and anything he says, especially his gibberish comments, I treat with disdain. He's an embarrassment to the credible skeptic community. Anyone who associates themselves with Charles from Project Camelot could well be tarnished with the same brush as scandalous behaviour. Furthermore, whatever he says in future could be for pure fictional theatre and not to be trusted, a distraction from the conspiratorial truth. You have now acknowledged his claim is proven to be false, and as you said previously, you would condemn Charles from Project Camelot for such defamation. So finally, to draw closure on this matter, if not for yourself, but purely out of respect for Gary Hasseltine, the UFO Truth magazine, myself, and the Truth movement in general, will you join me in condemning Charles from Project Camelot for his repeated slanderous false claim that brings our reputation into dispute? Charles, the moment he is convicted in the tribunal, yes. But, you can't... I can't, despite what you said here, and despite the fact I've looked at what you said here, and it does seem to make sense, I've not heard his side of the story. I think we need to have some kind of tribunal here for sorting this out. You've got your conflict with Charles. I have drawn on your information for my article. I did that on good faith, and I do trust you. But what you're saying here is so complicated. We need some kind of due process in this situation, I would say. 777 says on 9/11 20th anniversary live stream, have a listen to Daddy Dragon, the full English though, over at Rumble. I will do. In fact, I've been on a live stream with Daddy. It was one with Caroline Stevens, I think that was where it was. Or was it one of the Aslan's Raw ones? I can't remember. I actually was on with Daddy Dragon. I've not been on his show, but yeah, I have shared a platform with him, yeah. Same video, unwashed and somewhat slightly dazed. Now, this is not the... I've actually done an interview with a guy called Unwashed you might have heard of. It'll be in a future video, but I don't think that's the same one. But anyway, it's all madness in my eyes when many people have no idea a Building 7 come down. Yeah. BZ Garson. Here I stand, foot in hand. All right. But it's true. I mean, some people do not realise that. It's true. Steve mumbling. So much for not deleting my comments, eh, Ben? You really can't handle the truth, can you? Oh, Steve, please shut up. I'm not deleting your bloody comments. I actually got into a text debate with him. Because he says here, so what happened to free speech? Letting both sides of the story be told and letting the audience decide. The article I linked to was in fact published by a repeatable source, not the sort of hearsay drivel published in that comic your moron mate publishes. I talk about Nexus. I did not delete your comments, Steve. I don't know what happened to them. I did not delete them. I went to my spam folder, I checked, they're not there. Steve Mumley says, 5 comments deleted now. You're absolutely determined to stay in cloud cuckoo land, aren't you? There's no, but you know this. Come on, you're not even answering me. You're not even addressing me. You really are being daft, Steve. You really are. I think you're doing this deliberately. You're just flogging this dead horse to be as a distraction, as an irritant. That's all you're doing. That's what it's all about, and that's all it is. So pack it in. Pack it in now. Okay, next one. Bluebeam. Great video on YouTube. Retired Navy SEAL Don Shipley live goes after Bill Brockbrader. Oh, right. I know this guy. Yes, I heard of him. Oh, I'm trying to... What's happened? Oh, here we go. Yeah, let's have a look. What's this?
Switch to Google.
Oh, bloody ads. Let me just stop the ads. All right, this is the article. Oh yeah, his channel is called Former Buds 131. Yeah, he's this old guy. He's an old American guy. Used to be in Special Forces, and he does some videos that are sometimes quite entertaining. But I don't know if I've never sort of asked him about the controversy over SEAL Team 6. I don't know. I'll have to check to see if he's actually commented it, because he actually was Navy SEAL. Right, I'll just have to check. I'll actually check on his channel if he said anything about SEAL Team 6. I don't think he'll be on our side over this. But I hope he may back up the father who's fighting for justice, because of this. Because this father thinks that the whole thing was that SEAL Team 6 were killed by an infiltrated unit within the Afghan National Army. He's right that it was a suspicious death, but I think he's looking in the wrong direction for the culprits. Dag Jab says here, I posted a few comments on a forum yesterday where they were talking about the 20th anniversary of the attacks. This wasn't YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or any of those platforms. It was a regular motoring forum with its own politics section. As people were talking about the official story, I made a few comments regarding Al-Qaeda not being responsible for the attacks, mentioned Jane Stanley, the BBC reporter, reported Building 7 had collapsed when it stood behind her, and mentioned real planes couldn't have hit the building like that. One of my comments seems to have been deleted. The people who run these sites are complete arseholes who they think can stop people having an opinion. Every single person on that thread and other threads about 9/11, bar myself, were all on board with the official story. Yeah, Dag, there are some forums will do that. This actually happened to me. I put a comment on a video a couple of days ago. It was just about something. What was the video about? I can't remember what the video was about. Something about the police. And I just said something inoffensive, but I happened to mention that some countries are being more forceful with the medication campaign. The comment was deleted and I was blocked. Gunther Haas says, real planes did hit the building. I was 3 blocks away when it happened. BZ Garson said, perhaps they have a low tolerance for BS. Oh, BZ, that's very intellectual of you, yeah. So what you call something BS and they just said, well, they don't have to listen to these alternative views because it's BS. Therefore, they just get rid of them. Oh, Gunther Haas, yeah, I know several people who were in I've spoken to several people who witnessed 9/11. I do believe objects or images that look like real aircraft hit those buildings, yes. Whether they were real aircraft or not is another matter. John Nolan says on the live stream for 9/11, have a look at the Alien Mummies of Peru documentary on YouTube, Ben. Oh, not only have I looked at it, I've actually interviewed the guy who was presenting it. Steve Mera, his name is. John Smith says when Gareth Davis dies, it's very sad to watch this episode. Sad and angry at the hypocrisy of people like Ben. That's an interesting open. I hope you're going to provide evidence for this, John. There was a lot of interesting discussion from Gareth over the years, and he had intense interactions with him, and I had interactions with him in messages. However, certain ideas are philosophical. How much time have I got left? Hang on, 23 minutes. Hopefully it'll be enough. Certain ideas are philosophical and idealistic, but let's be blunt. Like Ben says, he hopes his daughter won't have the V word. Yep, I won't. Grow up, mate. But the V word is something that without a lot of us wouldn't be here today, especially poor working class people, for things that would have killed us off and were killing us off over the past century that the elite told us through campaigns to be fearful of, but actually kept us alive. Right, you're referring to the origins of V words. Now, the origins of V words was a sound one. It's the idea you make somebody immune through an intervention. Edward Jenner actually found you could make people immune from smallpox by giving them cowpox. The V word actually comes from the Latin word for cow. Now, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that at all. You're right about how the V words in the past have saved lives. But the thing is, V words are one thing, but they're also... What are V words? V words are something that can be... basically, it's a form of medication that you can give to lots of people who are not ill. Which means if you are a malevolent person who wants to do harm to large numbers of people, it's the perfect way of of poisoning them, basically. Not my words, the words of the American War College from 1970. V words have actually protected us from things. All right, he's carrying on saying the same thing. Sure, it's good to be critical of what we put in our body. Correct. But it's puerile to ignore the reality that all right, I'm not disputing that V words have saved lives, and that they should not push their skepticism of V words, ignoring the scientific data that proves that it can substantially lessen the effects of the V's at present. Is this one of these trust the science things? Trust the science. I've heard that phrase over and over again in the media. Let's trust the science. The science says this, the science said that. No, science doesn't say anything. Science is inanimate. Scientists say things. And scientists are not necessarily in a position they're not necessarily in an intellectual environment in which they can draw these perfect circles of rationality and investigation and experiment. They are subjected to political forces. They're selected to financial forces. Like everyone else, they're put in a position where they are dependent on their living for obedience. There we go. That proves it could be okay. onto others without responsibility of their actions upon others, not doing so because of that self-centered skepticism. Really? But Gareth was a grown man. Is he not entitled to make up his own mind? It's all part of a general skepticism that ignores the majority of V words and medicines that save lives every day. I'm not disputed that sometimes they save lives. These same people would also tell people suffering with diseases such as AIDS not to have the same V words and medications that actually have prolonged and given them a good life rather than a slow death, and cancer patients who receive certain V words to give them years more of their life with their loved ones. But as always, you know when to draw the line, it seems, when it can't be painted into a conspiratorial narrative or tarnish the humanity of much of this type of mentality. It's too big a subject to refer to, but I do suggest you look at the controversy in South Africa between Dr. Ben Goldacre and Matthias Rath and what's going on there. And I do suggest you investigate. I suggest you investigate Dr. Robert Gallo and what he did before AIDS, the HIV virus, was discovered. I recommend a documentary called The Hollywood CIA and Bioterrorism, In Lies We Trust, by Dr. Len Horowitz. Because I could talk about this for ages, but it's easier just to watch that because it answers your question. It answers everything you've just said here. God, this is a long comment. Where does it go from here? The same people who don't wear M words in public to protect vulnerable people. The M word is something you put over your face, over your nose and mouth, who may have a bad response to the C word. Do they work? Have you seen the scientists who do science telling you that unless you in order, and actually come on, I'll start again. I know this from experience because I have worn coverings over my body and my face and my eyes that are necessary to protect you from airborne virus particles, and they're not some little handkerchief with some strings on. So this is why I looked at these. There's a lot of people. It's actually Fauci's admitted it. Fauci's admitted he lied at the beginning. So what do you mean when you say this here? When you say protect vulnerable people who may have bad responses to C words, including sadly the presenter of this program. You have to take on board the point I made. The same people who don't wear M's in... Oh, right, where are we? Hang on. I am not V-worded, and I'm very informed on the importance of investigation of such things. But this is not some conspiracy. It's a real viz. One that the people you supported denied was real, and now say get the V-word. Hang on, he didn't say that. Nothing in Gareth's experience of illness and death contradicts any of his beliefs. If you think V-words are potentially dangerous, then why not support emming up so that the reality of C-word, unless you're an idiot who believes in some big conspiracy. I don't deny that the C-word is real. I don't deny the necessity for protecting vulnerable people. Don't try and put those words in my mouth. I'm also reluctant to take V-words and medication and so forth if I don't have to. But I'm not so ignorant as to forget the V-words and other technologies. All right, you're repeating yourself here. You seem to be repeating the same point over and over. There are a lot of people who talk about pure about the V-word. I hope my loved ones don't get the V-word. Don't encourage others to follow in your choices. Well, if we're not given choices at the moment, we've been given coercion. Hang on, you say, if you're willing to let your children die, or you die, you've willed upon them your skepticism. So, let me get this straight. The way to care about the lives of your children is to allow them to have take something, a medication which is potentially poisonous and could reduce their fertility and or life expectancy. That's how you look after your children, do you? You're not. That is black. That is reversal. That's reverse speech. That is black white. That is doublethink. Could you please clarify this, because I'm confused. Not berate people you've supported who say that C word is fake and V words have chips in them. What do you mean by berate? I've said that I think they're wrong. What else am I supposed to say? Am I supposed to ostracize them and not have anything to do with them? If simply saying they are wrong and telling people what I really think is not enough, then what is? Now, this has led to the death of people who believe that this to be true, but actually needed the protection. Well, how do you know? I don't think it is, you see, because firstly, I've always encouraged everyone to be responsible with vulnerable people, and I have been. I don't go around and visit my daughter's uncle because he's an old man and he's very ill. And he's in bad general health. He has kidney problems and things like that, just like Gareth. I haven't been to see him. I haven't been to see him because I want him to be protected. But you say, again, you're saying, but that's not enough. You have to actually to give them something that could potentially harm them in order to prevent them from harm. So give them something that could harm them to stop them receiving harm, to keep... Where is this contradiction coming from? I'm aware of one or two people in the comments saying they're yet to be convinced by C word, which is I see you liked. No, I said I think they were wrong. Is Gareth's death, your friend, not enough to convince you or to confront your own subscribers who themselves may have children and vulnerable people around them? No, I've just explained to you. Honestly, I'm that far from... I haven't deleted this comment, but keep going, and I will. I've told you enough times now, and I don't need to repeat, and I don't want you to dispute this again. Nothing in Gareth's experience contradicts any of his beliefs. He never said that there was no chance of dying if you got this. He never said that. To confront themselves, they might have children and vulnerable people around them. Exactly. Well, I suggest to protect vulnerable people. Yes, I've said that. Again, this is something you don't need to repeat, and I don't want you to suggest that I haven't said that. If he had a V word and died, or had complications, I'm sure you'd have been all over that like a rash, mate. Yeah. Well, it's certainly possible. I mean, I don't know if I know several people. I've heard of several people who've had a V word and died. I know people who had a V word and got ill. I don't go all over it like a rash and say that the cause was definitely the V word. I don't. So don't have a go at people who have meant, in all good faith, to show concern for people to have the V word. It's disingenuous and backhanded, to say the least. My thought goes to Gareth's loved ones. Adventuresome journey in Gareth. I actually have not... I haven't had a... Who have I had a go at? I haven't... I don't think I've had a go at any people who in good faith show concern. I have suggested that they're wrong about things. When you say had a go at, I mean, it's such a loaded term, have a go at. So B said, I think that long, detailed comment there was very unfair. I'm not going to delete it. I almost did at one point, but I'm not going to delete it. I think there's a lot of rhetoric in, but I think you're very unfair. I've addressed factually the points you've made. I think you've misrepresented me. You've put words in my mouth, and you've assigned actions to me that I've never carried out. But that's all I can say, really. The Secrets of Newbury 2, a new video. Good video, my friend. Thank you, Iron Man Spartan. You may have noticed that I've got another Blonde's bed sheet on there. Yeah, it's very comfortable, actually. It's very comfortable indeed. Gary Robinson, Secrets of Newbury 2. Susan George, Straw Dogs, top film. All right, this is the actress that Another Blonde was talking about. I'll try and find that out. Be the Truth. Ha, yeah, is that pre, mid, or post shapeshift plaque? Oh, that was the Newbury Town Hall, yeah. Jake Yorkman, why does this video keep freezing for? I've had this issue with my own videos on occasions and can't work out why. It could be something to do with your bandwidth, Jake. I mean, YouTube appears to be working normally. As I say, as normally as a censorious, conformist organisation can. But check your bandwidth, check your modem, see if that helps. You might need to change it. Secrets of Newbury 2. Helen Tucker, enjoyed your trip around the town. Your friend is a font of interesting information. Nice one. She is indeed. I mean, it's one of these times, like I said, I spent 2 days talking with somebody who I really... Yeah, I could like have conversations with people I don't normally have. It's just happened again, actually. I've made a video about that. I miss these people when they're gone. When they're not around. Helen Tucker says fount, lol. Yeah, fount of information. I think that's right, Helen, yeah. Mark Murphy says, thank you for sharing your vlog with us. You're welcome, Mark. TCN said, Littlecut House is very haunted, Ben. That's probably why it rings a bell. I went with my mum a million years ago. Just remember, this is Crafty Nihilist. Oh, Crafty Nihilist. Oh, right. I hope we see you soon. We can discuss it. And TCN also says, there are more than 2 handkerchief trees in the UK, Ben. Another thing, Susan George was in Straw Dogs, not a Chainsaw Massacre. Not that we are the fact police or anything like that, but we are. All right, TCN. TCN is the Crafty Nihilist, yeah. There's 2 accounts now. Are you both using the same account? So are you both using both accounts, or is one of you Liz and the other one Mark? Same video, Alex Newbury. Videos like this remind me of how anarchistic I am. Thanks for the nudge, Ben. Fuck how I hate the high street. And I'm in Canterbury, near the religious cabal in this corporate... The seat of the religious cabal in this corporate country. And country is spelt differently. It would be spelt like a swear word. Same video, David says, New Bury. It could be Old Bury, the original Bury. David, I don't know the etymology of the name. Snarnox says, those S-shaped iron objects are braces to support the masonry. Sometimes they're in the shape of crosses. That's it. I've seen them a few times on very old buildings. Usually they're often crosses. That's right. Same video, Snarlock. Have you ever tried Newbury fruits? They're a type of jellied sweet. Next time you go there, buy a box as a souvenir. They're rather good. I will, thanks. Although another blonde gave me a jar of blackberry jam that she'd made. Nick Treadwell said, glad you had a good time. Good luck with Twin Peaks. It's a real treat if you've not watched before, but don't expect anything to make sense. Thanks, Nick. I'm actually more than halfway through it, and I've certainly found that, but I am enjoying it. I think it's very good. I'll probably do a video about it at some point, but it's very surreal. It's kind of surreal. There's some horror elements to it, and a lot of supernatural elements. Some of the characters have prophetic dreams and things like that. At the same time, it's also a murder mystery, and it's also, there's a bit of a homage to, I think, classic American soap operas. I mean, there's the characters Ben Horne and Catherine Martell. I mean, they're straight out of Dallas and Dynasty. It's very funny. It's a kind of a bit of a parody, I suppose. User 1 says on Trump in Britain brand, new video now. User 1 said that head tan line through. That head tan line through. All right, Charles from Project Camelot says on Trump in Britain. The head tan line through. Oh, you're talking about my head. I know. Sorry, I was just trying to work out what you meant, user 1. Yeah, it's because I have a hat on like this when I'm outdoors. Wow, so it was banned because you were glorying violence towards yourself, Ben? Ben, if that's what you are into, there are very discreet agencies for that sort of thing at a reasonable price. And TCN says, how do you know? And Charles says, Rin told me. Oh, yes, Agent Rin. I'm sure she's really into that sort of thing, yeah. Jack Parker. V words have to be forced. Maybe we're just forced to be obstinate without... Maybe we're just being forced to be obstinate without a valid reason. Well, it looks like a lot of people have the willpower to resist it, though, Jack, luckily. You can see, like, in the statistics of the people who are Jade and Double Jade. Trump in Britain banned. Legend real. Ben, YouTube are just jealous because you highlighted a better competition at your recent visit to Newbury with another blonde. AI is sentient, you bet. Oh, what better competition was that, Legend real? Jack Parker said on Trump in Britain, if this were Taliban back in the day, V words would be forced with gunfire. But if true, people killing others with negligence, what does it seem to be? Does it warrant enforcement? Yeah, I'm sure the Taliban would literally tie people down and stick the V word in their bottom. And I mean, it could be it'll come to that here. People killing others with negligence. What does it warrant enforcement? Obviously, yes, because they want people to have this intervention, and a lot of people don't want it. And they say, no, you got to have it, and we're gonna do everything we can to compel you. Which, as I said again, does constitute force under the Nuremberg Code, which is against medical ethics. Same video, Jack Parker. This assertion of principles freedom ultimate and the rights wished for in the real world Is it worth a rebellion, sociopathic rebellion, with all the conspiracies concerned? Same video, Jack Parker. So it looks like ultimately, and at worst, V-words will not be taken. The strong will survive and knowingly be the cause of the demise of the weak. Yeah, some people have suggested this. Why are they? It seems like the people who are going to be removed seem to be the ones who are the most obedient and the most NPC-like, whereas the people who are going to be left behind are going to be the rebels. I mean, it does seem a bit contradictory. I don't know what the answer is to that. Jack, make sure you lead the right lead for others to follow. It's a very mortalistic decision. I'll try my best, Jack. Jack also says on the same video, eat green eggs and ham of the trend only if you have a true desire. Follow any certain group or party. I don't like those green eggs. I mean, apparently they just taste the same, but they look horrible. I can't remember how you make them, but they look horrible. Jack also says on the same video, the facts sometimes get lost in the hype of or conspiracy. It's just too concrete. The objectivity must be steadfastly abided by and adhered to. Well, this is why, unlike BZ Garson, I do think we, on our side of the debate, are not fools. I think we are sensible in that respect. I think Jack says here on the same video, sometimes we have to err on the side of science. In this case, a rather benign injection. Err on the side of science. Well, science is the way you gain knowledge. To err, so you don't err on the side of it. You can only err away from it. Whereas it's, I'm not sure what context you're referring to here. But sometimes things are dressed up as science. They're like pseudoscience. They're made to sound like science when they're not. And very often sometimes it's used almost as a political slogan. Jack Parker says on Trump in Britain, as we drink most of us and smoke and abuse our bodies, worried about a little benign pinprick. Well, I'm not. I mean, I actually sat on a drawing pin the other day, and it didn't bother me much. I do drink, not to excess, and by hospital portering standards, I'm virtually a teetotaler. I don't smoke, but sitting on the draw pin was painful, but it didn't really. I wouldn't call it benign, but it was harmless. I got a little dot there, you know, it bled a little bit. That was it. Extrapolating somehow principle as the reason. Maybe it's a little bit of childiness, scared for irrational reasons. If you're referring to the V word, then no, it's not irrational. Certainly not. Insert pie now, says on Trump banned in Britain banned. The big tech jackpot. Yeah, not half. I'm hoping this will increase the views on the alt tech sites where this video still is. You can watch it anytime you like, just on the alt tech sites. There's links in the show notes, in the description box. Jack says on Trump in Britain. Now, if it's about watching the V word and seeing people begin to die in hordes from the Vz, maybe make that the reason, otherwise it tends to lose credence and excuse not to take it. Well, Vzzs do kill people, yeah. If you get bitten by a dog with rabies, you know, you're in trouble. And if there's a cure, you should take it. But sometimes some people want you to take substances into your body, and if you're not ill, they have to give you a reason to do it. And this is how they do it. Trump in Britain banned, Jack Parker. Now Trump in the obvious world is just chasing his own tail for non-tangible purpose, and not really for a reason. He's gotten used to just blurting out a word and having people cheer for it, as he watches his own hand during his speeches, amazed at what he can do without getting into trouble. No, not fair. Not fair. It's much more than that. Much more than that. Jack Parker. Incidentally, Britain feels a much better place to be for fairness and freedom these days. Maybe even those days. Us propped up on self-ego. I think you American, Jack. I think both of us have a great tradition in fairness and freedom, which is why it's sad to see them eroded in both countries. Hatchy says on Trump in Britain banned. One thing's for sure, when it comes to free will, we are being denied. Well, yeah, I mean, maybe I should make this point in the free will video, shouldn't I? Yeah. Trump in Britain banned. Here in the States, English, well versed in English of all things. I met homeless English people here in the States, very impressed at the thoroughness of English understanding. For example, as a black man, yes, convinced that Ebonics is good for absolutely nothing and fosters a ridiculous mindset. Encouragement, or rather discouragement, to have any functional skills. I remember saying you were black. What's Ebonics mean? I can't remember what that meant. Ebonics. Someone said American Black English regarded as a language in its own right rather than a dialect of standard English. Oh, that's like the jive, yeah. Oh, Jack, like in Airplane, the jive talkers in Airplanes. Oh, that was fun. That's so funny, man. I suppose Ebonics is related to ebony, but ebony is something different in my view. It's adult entertainment which features black women. But a fox is good for nothing. It fosters a ridiculous mindset. It's funny though. I mean, in films like Airplane, it's extremely amusing. I find it that it's sad you couldn't make that film now, which is extremely sad because it's not only harmless, it's extremely well done. Okay, we're on to the 4th hour now, guys. It's a bit longer than the last one, but that's okay. We've not got much left on YouTube actually. Okay, I'm back. We're almost at the end of YouTube now, so just a few more. Obviously, I'll do a refresh as well afterwards, but we're almost at the end of the YouTube list. Let's have a look. Okay, so we'll carry on with here. Trump in Britain banned. Jack Parker. Suffice to say, along those lines, don't be drugged down into the mud by the rubbish emanating from the United States. Well, I try to avoid when it comes to the rubbish emanating from the United States, Jack. I do try to. However, not all of it's rubbish. I mean, the United States, like all countries, has its wisdoms and it has its foolishness. I try to listen. I try to discern each case by case basis. Jack continues on the same video. Yes, this is important enough observation. Can we stand the test of time as some other countries, civilizations? United States just a baby now with rubbish, and it's diaper. Diaper is what Americans call nappies. The US is all right. It's quite a new country. It's about 250 years old almost. So it's a newer country than most European nations. However, I still don't know exactly what you mean. Will you stand the test of time? Unfortunately, there are signs that the United States is a fragile federation. There's already been a civil war that almost tore it apart in the 19th century. The way things are going at the moment, it's possible that it will not continue to exist in its current form, and that would be sad. As a foreigner, I'd say that's sad because it's one of my favourite foreign countries, but. Obviously, as a native American, or America, not like an Indian, but a person American born and bred, it's a tragedy beyond words. But I believe that hopefully it'll survive. There's wisdom and there is nobility within the United States system, within the Constitution, within the Bill of Rights, within the it's the American dream. I mean, the American people laugh at the American dream, but and things like that, and liberty and freedom of choice, pursuit of happiness. But these are decent, virtuous ideals. We make jokes of them, but how can we criticize them as ideas? The country. It's good you got a country founded on philosophy rather than most countries are founded as a result of power, empire, and history. The United States is one of the few countries in the world founded as a result on the basis of a philosophy. Hatchie said, Ben, you're well respected. Too much media hype, all truth and truth denied. Thanks, Hatchie. Much appreciated, mate. Jack Parker says on Trump in Britain banned, carry the torch of calm and order. It's a precious thing we have called civilization. Yes, and very fragile. It needs nurturing, and we need to prevent evil people getting into positions of power. Ravenhill Forest Bandit. Oh, a new name, 1968, says on Trump in Britain Band. Sorry about this experience, Ben. YouTube is certainly not that site it was when it first launched in 2005. Oh, for the good old days, Ravenhill, when you could just say what you wanted. And we had such wonderful characters. I started YouTubing a few years after it started, and there were already some wonderful conspiratorial UFO Paracon characters there. Red, do you remember Red Phantom? See you on the flip side. Oh, yeah. And the arguments that used to break out, there was that IRA guy and the posh English guy. The American IRA supporter and the posh English guy. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Oh, dear. I'm going to start again a bit of the old Hiraeth. Jack Parker says on Trump in Britain Band, remember, follow your cravings for food for the most part. If I did that, Jack, I'd be a fat bastard. Do not eat so-called healthy food regimented on a time schedule. Never force water. Your internal dynamics will increase to functional, and certain latent abilities will rise. Now you gotta be aware of health when you're eating. You've got to take that into consideration. I'm not a zealot. I'm not a health zealot. I mean, a little bit of what you fancy does you good. I did. I mean, I've just been away on a little holiday, and I've stuffed my face. You know, I don't eat like that all the time. I exercise as well, and you actually say here, no need to work out. It's a false premise. You will lose weight constantly, and muscle fitness will be optimized. Well, it depends on your lifestyle, Jack. I have a job which involves physical exertion. Other people don't. A lot of people who go to gyms are people who work in offices or drive and things like that. Discipline, Jack says here, discipline with no time to understand. It should all make sense if you slow down and think about it. I do try to slow down, and as much as I can, yeah. Trump in Britain Band, Jack Parker, yes, I have had so much alien encounter. I sometimes wonder if they inspire my words. The language is subtlety, and they do appear with notice and witnesses. Now, sometimes your style of speech, Jack, indicates it is certainly someone who maybe doesn't have the normal human cognition, you know. It does. You do talk in riddles sometimes. Jack Parker says on the same video, they have quite a bit of experience, civilizations. A hard thing to believe, these encounters, even for me. Sinara Zashtree says, what a bloody joke. Isn't it just, Sinara? Totally and utterly. SBAK4444 says, question mark, why not? Oh, there's a timestamp. What's this? 2 hours 30, why not? No, and I got.
In the case of this video, I think I know what it might be. The hell, they deleted it.
And I put the thing off.
And of course, what can you do?
Volume.
You can't exactly ask them, can you? In the case of this video,
can't exactly ask them. Well, I did ask. Well, I know people who said, "Look, could you point me to where in this?" You get these template replies, and people have said, have asked in their response, which is the part of the video you're concerned about? Could you explain to me where I went wrong so I can avoid the mistake in future? What do you get in reply? We have reviewed your appeal and we have rejected it. Yeah, we are now going to lose your video. That's what it's like. Barney's Den. You need to varnish the top of your head too, Ben. In this case, Barney, it would mean sitting out in the sun with my hat off, which would cause a lot of pain an awful lot of pain on my scalp. Johnny Splits says on Trump in Britain Band, YouTube staff are suffering from mental illness. It's called classic obedience syndrome. BZ Garson, pretty much a throwaway comment. Oh, really? This is coming from Mr. Oh, you're a misogynist, you're irresponsible. You know, BZ, no one does throwaway comments like you. He goes, although there is an unintended grain of truth in there, YouTube content vetters have to review content that is sometimes horrific, and as a result have suffered mental illness. Well, most of them are not human, BZ. They're AI programs. However, sometimes you get some person will deliberately upload something to YouTube that is obscene, criminally obscene. And it is a horrible thing to have to deal with. Yeah, it is a horrible thing to have to deal with. Neil Peel said on Trump in Britain, I get complaints Ben, from Steve Palmer about removing comments. But YouTube does have this strange thing where I can see them, but they can't. Alternatively, I try to reply to a comment, and I can see my email previews, but can't see them when viewed on YouTube. Oh, right, Neil, yeah. Well, Steve Palmer is someone I blocked, so I wouldn't take his word for everything, personally. But, yeah, he is... It seems to be... It's not just Steve... See, Steve Mumling's blaming me for it. Other people understand that this is a problem with YouTube. Gareth Davis dies. Dag Jab says, sorry, Ben, for my previous post on your recent video on 9/11 asking about Gareth. I hadn't noticed this video until now. Explains why Gareth hasn't done any Mindset podcast since July. Really sorry to hear about his death. Very sad news indeed. He will be sadly missed. That's all right, Dag. I'm sorry you had to find out that way. I really am. Tessa1111 says on Trump in Britain banned, it's because of the release of the book Peril by Bob Woodward. Oh, right. Is this one of these unauthorized biographies of Trump which have been... Bob Woodward, right, yeah. Oh, yeah, Peril. He's written one called Rage, now it's Peril. What's this about then? Peril, this is a Woodward book. It's a book by an American journalist called Bob Woodward and Robert Costa about the end of the presidency of Donald Trump. It's expected to be published in September 2021, which is 21st, which is the equinox, and it is in 2 days' time. Maybe that's it. Maybe that Tessa, you might have a point. They're cracking down on, on Trump comments. Yes. Right, Jamnoise72 on. Hello, Jamnoise. How are you, soul sister? It's a joke, bro. Pathetic, like you say. YouTube don't run the world. See, I know. It is. And you know what? I'm glad I'm following you on Odyssey now. Checkpoint says, they do, however, run their own company, and they get to decide what stays and what gets deleted. Ben does the same with the comments. He decides what stays and what gets deleted. No, Checkpoint. They are a private company, but they enter into a contract with the user, which they then breach. What's more, Checkpoint? They are in a position where some people have defined them as a public utility. So rather like gas companies and electric companies they can't just prevent you from getting electricity and gas or water. YouTube and big social media companies may play a similar role. Checkpoint continues. Also, I may add, when you join YouTube, you agree to abide by their terms of service. Yeah. But you see, I actually did do that. I've never broken their terms of service. Checkpoint continues. YouTube have the right to change in the terms of service without your agreement. Oh, I see. Okay. All right. So it's agreed by when you sign up and agree to the terms of service. Ben can kick and scream all he likes, but it's not YouTube who's broken any agreement. It's him. All right. Fair enough. But it's still a case of the fact that they have decided completely off their own bat to delete the video, and they've not explained why, and they've given me no proper recourse. Now, you could say that's within the terms of their agreement, but it's not fair. And you could say, well, Ben, go and use another video sharing site if you don't like it. Well, I do. That doesn't mean I'm not going to complain about the injustice of the situation. It doesn't mean that at all. I am. BZ Garson said here, because, I mean, Checkpoint, I honestly, I don't believe I've read through the terms of service. I've been through videos about the terms of service. I don't believe I breached anything. Oh, here we go. Checkpoint said, exactly. I checked their this is BZ Garson replying to Checkpoint. Guess whose side he's going to take? I checked their community guidelines regarding graphic violence. One of the no-nos is to show demonstrations and violence. As I understand it, the offending piece contains Ben running towards a scuffle. It could be interpreted that he's goading, flag-waving and taunting a group of demonstrators. Incitement, which leads to actual physical violence against him. As you say, the onus is upon him to check what is permissible by YouTube before uploading. Tedious, yes. Necessary, absolutely. Nonsense, BZ, nonsense. I was not goading anyone. If you call people expressing an opinions on a public street goading, which includes the use of flags, then you're entering into an Orwellian world where dissent is not permitted. And incitement, I'm not inciting anyone. I wanted to have a civilized discussion. As for violence, the worst violence that actually happened to me, someone pulled my hat off my head and threw it away. I managed to get another hat. Someone had a rolled up leaflet. They were whacking my shoulder with it. right? That's the actual violence, physical violence against me. I never received anything worse than that. It was frightening. I was scared. There was these mobs around me, but it wasn't. They didn't actually do me any real harm. So no, I don't believe I breached YouTube's terms and conditions. I really don't. What's more, you just take other people's side. You're taking other people's side out of principle now, I think. Checkpoint. Trump wants Section 230 terminated. Well, it should. Sticks thinks it should be kept, but it should be adapted. I don't know what's the right thing to do. I know that simply refusing to sign it and saying, well, we are going to regard ourselves as responsible for the content that's posted on our platform it's within their rights, but it only gives them a pretext to commit censorship. It's extremely difficult for them. It's a bad business model. BZ Carson said, typical Trump, completely absurd. Checkpoint says, those who shout loudest for free speech are usually the ones who moan loudest when someone says something you don't like. What was that? You mean well, if you mean disagreeing with you and call that moaning, maybe, but I don't. I don't, Checkpoint, do I? BZ says, I agree with your sentiments, but fail to see how it's relevant to my previous comment. Checkpoint says, just thinking out loud. Steve071 says on Gareth Davis Memorial livestream, Ben, you punked out those Team Droid pussies. Gave them a time and place, and they couldn't even show up 2-on-1, total one to face you. R.I.P. Gareth. That's true. I know. It just goes to show, doesn't it, what these keyboard warriors are like. Gareth Davis. Any chance live stream? Steve071. Any chance of getting Nick Colostrum back on HPANWO, Ben? Yeah, sure. Any time. I mean, I'm sure an opportunity will come about. Probably if he writes a new book or wants something like that. Oh, he's a lovely chap. Yeah. Steve said on the same video, I don't agree with your biggest secret, Ben. The fate of some children is horrendous, but the scientific denial of eternal life and the true nature of our reality are linchpins in subjecting the populace to slavery and separation of our oneness. Yeah, I mean, they are pretty big. Yes, definitely. Secrets of Newbury 2. Steve071. Do you remember in the mid-80s when we used to think any yuppie sap with a mobile phone was like a brick was a cunt? Now we have nearly all been forced to use one in our daily life. It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, somebody showed me their old phone the other day, this old 1980s mobile phone they used to have. It doesn't work, but it was really amusing to hold one and realise that they used to be a status symbol. It's really funny, isn't it? Right, we've got a thread here. BZ Garson says on Trump in Britain, let's have a look. Oh, there's a big long... I think this is just simply... Let's have a look. All right. At approximately 13:52, you throw a hissy fit about YouTube not signing Section 230. What does it even mean? Please clarify. How do you sign Section 230? How do you sign an amendment to the US federal legislation that was enacted in 1996? YouTube and every other internet-based entity, by de jure, operates under its provisions. How does anyone sign any legislation that's currently in force? You're not making any sense. Look, you know what I mean. You know that 230 is something that gives an option. It gives them an option whether to declare themselves as a platform or a publisher. All right, you can quibble over the word sign if you like, but it is actually... Okay, 230 is an amendment to the Communications Decency Act. The wording has been described as the 26th words that created the Internet. No provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content provider. Well, they do, you see. This gives YouTube immunity when their user posts something that might be offensive or harmful. In that case, the user is liable to the content and not the company that hosts it. This is what you want. Well, it's already in place. If you were to create defamatory content, then a third party could take legal action against you. No, that's not what's in place. Watch Styx Hexenhammer. It doesn't. That's not what it's about. 230 gives YouTube the freedom to moderate. Companies that operate in good faith have the power to... No. Have the power to restrict access to material they consider to be objectionable. No, you see, they can't. This is the point. If they cannot moderate when you are taking full legal responsibility. This actually contravenes another law. Styx Hexenhammer has all the details. Section 230 was enacted long before social media platforms came into being. It protects YouTube from a barrage of defamatory lawsuits that will result from users posting defamatory content and comments on their platform. Well, yeah, you see, but then they're still essentially, by moderating, they still are saying that we are taking an error responsibility about what exists. You see, they're essentially, it's, what's the word? Is it de facto? I can't remember what the word is. It is a de facto statement of responsibility. The sheer scale of, yeah, regarded as a consequence, to classify YouTube as a publisher would soon wipe out all social media platforms from the internet. Also, Yelp, TripAdvisor, to the local parish website. Yeah. Why has YouTube become more censorial? In my opinion, there are two primary reasons. Oh, yeah, here we go. This is just repeating what they... This is a cut and paste from their own terms, isn't it? The proliferation of disinformation exponentially accelerated since 2016. Oh, no, sorry, this is not their words. Okay. You would have to be either stupid or part of the problem to deny that. No, you could deny it and say this is simply people becoming more outspoken about questions about official narratives. Opinions presented as facts, blatant lies that have real-life negative and dangerous consequences to the health and well-being, and yes, threats to undermine the democratic process. Not true, but these are people essentially attempting to protect peoples from the harmful, real-life, negative, dangerous consequences of government mass medication programs, which affects the health, well-being, fertility, and possibly life expectancy of citizens. And that's what we are doing. That's what's been going on since 2016. As for the democratic process, well, we know it's the things that YouTube are deleting expose the undermining of democratic processes. YouTube has increasingly come under political and public pressure, political, not public, to remove, and well, when you say public, you mean think tanks like Hope Not Hate and these other organisations, to remove and restrict this type of content. Right. In other words, to gag the people trying to protect people's lives and protect people's health and protect the freedom and democracy in this country, where we have leaders that are chosen through proper electoral process. To the normal, rational, logical person, quite rightly so. Oh, in other words, again, establishment narratives. There is so much disinformation about C words and V words that real people in the real world have died. No, it's the other way around. The disinformation is on the part of the media. The media who are promoting things which are harmful to people because they want to harm us. As a result of this type of content, also Trump has become a toxic subject solely to his spreading of disinformation. Well, they don't like to see me talking about Trump. Maybe it's this peril book that's coming out, you know. Number two. YouTube is a private platform under the provisions of Section 230A. It can do damn well what it wants as long as it complies with US federal law. Well, like the First Amendment? You may not like it, but I assume you've agreed to their terms and conditions regarding usage. Yes, I have, but I don't like it, and I have a right to say that I don't like it. And I could be justified. If not, why do you still plan to use it? Well, if you might have noticed, BZ, that I'm actually very active on other platforms now. I'm using it because it's a way of communication, which is what it's for. YouTube care only about one thing, their profit margin and their bottom line. No, if they did that, they would... forget the semantics. They would sign Section 230 and stop moderating. Well, sure, they'd have to comply with the law by removing criminally obscene material, but as far as opinions go, they would just let it go. They would just let people say what they like. And this includes establishment positions as well. Are we not adult enough to work this out? Why do grown men and women have to be protected from information because you think people have died? Grown men and women have died because they're not, they won't let us treat us like children. Don't you understand? They're just little kids who need to be guided by the patriarchal figure of Big Daddy government. Because you'd make a good politician, BZ, you really would. Where were we? To be specific to your video, they are playing it safe. As I've said, the Trump brand is toxic and perceived not conducive to attracting major advertisers. Well, I'm not monetized. Regardless of whether your Regardless of whether your channel is monetized or not, association is not good for their business model. Really? Okay, so that doesn't quite make sense. Which channels manage to, but they've algorithm me out. People can't find me in search now anyway. As regards to YouTube monetization, it's estimated that approximately 100 hours of content is uploaded to YouTube every minute. To manually review this type, to review manually, use proper grammar, please. This type of content is literally impossible. Hence their supposed AI algorithms. One of the few things I agree with you. It's a software engineer. AI is far from intelligent. Yeah, of course I realise you have to have an AI algorithm, but really, why don't they allow a proper appeal system? Why are you not allowed to have proper recourse? Okay, it's their terms and conditions. They're a private company. We will make them a much better private company. Here we go. There was debate to be had as to what constitutes free speech. Well, you could debate over what's illegal and not illegal. You've heard terms like shouting fire in a crowded theatre. You've heard terms. You've heard terms like when it comes to threats, defamation, things like that. Laws already exist for this sort of thing. I think maybe I think possibly I'm preempting him because he probably beforehand I've actually answered questions he then goes and adds to. Anyway, there's no reason why you should be prohibited from making a video about it. But as I understand it, you're an advocate for unfettered free speech. Does that extend to paedophiles advocating for paedophilia? Yes, because if there are paedophiles in my neighbourhood, I'd like to know who they are, and I'd like to be able to call the police and explain what they're doing. Because, as you well know, paedophiles advocating for paedophilia is actually against the law. This is an example that doesn't come under the free speech issue. It's not covered by the Third Amendment because it's covered by child protection laws. It's got nothing to do with free speech. That's a bad example. Can you do better, BZ? Racist advocating, inciting violence against non-whites. You mean people inciting violence, again, has got nothing to do with free speech. Blatant lies directed at an individual. Doxing. Well, blatant lies comes under laws against defamation. So that's got nothing to do with free speech. Doxing is a form of I think that's a form of threat. So yeah, threats, things like that. We can have debates about the definition of these things, but they've got nothing to do with free speech. It's pretty obvious that if you're telling people to go out and commit a crime, that's against the law. If you're saying bad things about people, which is not true, that's defamation. It's at least a civil offence and you can be sued. And indeed, this has happened many times. Ironically, several of the mainstream newspapers that you love so much are often the worst offenders. Homophobic hate speech. Right, what do you mean by that? Now, if you mean people advocating, inciting violence against people because of their sexual orientation, well, again, that's a threat. It's incitement to violence. It's a crime. It's already covered. It's got nothing to do with free speech. So you need to define what you mean by homophobic hate speech in more detail. Quack cures, often for money, to cure C word. Right. Well, firstly, do you mean some kind of pill that someone's offering if they're advertising it? Now, that is a tricky thing. I mean, that's something I don't have an immediate answer for. For example, if I hold up a polo mint and say, "You take this, and it'll sort your flat feet out, mate." Okay, that's not true. So, would a marketplace of ideas be able to solve this thing, or do we need some kind of regulatory agency? That's a good point. I don't have an answer to that now. The list is endless, says BZ. The list, you haven't even said you apart from some reference to homophobic hate speech without defining exactly what that means, there's nothing on this list that has anything to do with the free speech issue. All you've given me a list of things for which there are already laws against, which are completely separate from the free speech question. He carries on. There are no caveats. Total free speech advocates would consider them all valid positions and acceptable. No, they wouldn't. You need to learn more about what free speech means. Get your law book out. You seem to know an awful lot of... You've studied Section 230. Now go and study the First Amendment. That's your homework for the next comments reply video, PZ. YouTube, hopefully, will never be a free speech platform. Not in the sense you ascribe to. What sense do I ascribe to? Because if you're referring to the list you've just given, then that is a defamation of my character, and I could sue you. You don't even understand what free speech means. I don't want YouTube to be a platform that allows illegal, obscene material and violence and things such as incitement to violence on their platform. I don't want that. That's got nothing to do with free speech. My personal view is that it would be a dystopian hellhole. Well, if criminal activity is allowed, yes. Your suggestion of hosting your own content is the best way to go if you really want to exercise your supposed right to free speech. But I am, though. Oh, be prepared to have deep pockets, though. I was suggesting just buying up some server space, which is not that expensive. Not for the amount I want. But I'm not suggesting establishing my own platform. No. David Smith, thanks for your comment. It was too long and detailed to go into, but see my other video. I've addressed this. Which videos? Oh, are you mocking me, David? I have got it. You're taking a piss at me there, aren't you? Firstly, I have gone into it in detail, but I don't think there's anything wrong with referring people to another video. I don't see why that's a bad thing. If I have information on a separate video, what's wrong with me just telling people where that is? Checkpoint laughs at David Smith, which is really a bit silly because I don't actually commit this whatever things he thinks I'm doing in this particular video. I went into the entire comment that BZ made. Checkpoint said, exactly, BZ. Ben's got section 230 all in a muddle. This video that contains the same footage has not been removed. I guess enough people don't like your videos, Ben. All right, this might be the clip. Oh, what's this? Oh, this is who's this?
Look what, she's the only person.
Oh, right. Oh, that's somebody I blocked. Who was is actually maybe they haven't got around to that one yet. That's not someone. That's someone I did say that people could mirror the clip if they want, and indeed there is a copy on Vimeo that someone has mirrored. Indeed, I uploaded it myself. That clip. The person you're referring to there just is a troll basically, who doesn't like me, and so I blocked this person. BZ Garson says to David Smith, my comment is specifically about Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act and nothing to do with my skepticism. I've watched your video about skeptics, so I'm assuming that's what you're referring to. My post is long-winded, but it's quite complicated and contentious issue. Even books have been written about it. It certainly is, and like I said, I don't have an answer to everything you said there. On the subject, for example, as you said, of holding up a polar mint and saying it cures flat feet, is a marketplace of ideas. Does that come under free speech? Or is that some kind of deception which would come under possibly laws to do with fraud? But apart from that, you don't actually understand the point, BZ. You seem to have an idea that something is not connected to the free speech issue is somehow connected to the free speech issue. So you're not the Perry Mason you think you are. Checkpoint says, I think Dave was having a laugh at Ben's expense. Yes. On Steve Mumbling's videos that led me here, Ben often says he's covered that when he hasn't. Well, Steve Mumbling says this, but I don't actually make these references unless they are genuine. I don't say, oh, it's too long, just watch that video, and I show him an irrelevant video. I actually refer to a video which is relevant to the subject under discussion. BZ said, to save me watching the video again, can you tell me roughly in the timestamp where he says that specific video's footage was the reason his video was blocked? Also, the links in the description don't point to the original video that was blocked. I'm dying to see what all the fuss is about. Well, you could have skimmed through it's on the other platforms. You don't need a timestamp. You could just skim through it using the progress bar. BZ more than likely to checkpoint. Checkpoint. This one at 150 banned for inciting violence according to Ben. However, this video is a Mickey take-in of him showing the same footage not banned. That's right. That's somebody who I've blocked because of their conduct. Right. I'm glad that thread's out the way. Oh, we've got one more comment on YouTube. And then, thank goodness. The Idiot Gamer, that's a good name. There was, oh right, this refers to Secrets of Newbury 2, the video. There is a memorial for the victims of the Hungerford shooting next to the park at the football club. You went past it. All right, thanks for letting us know, Idiot Gamer. That's just your name. That's not my insult. I'll actually check that when I next go back there. Right, let's go to BitChute. As you know, BitChute doesn't provide notifications for comments. I can't go through every single video I have, so all I can do is go back to when I did the last, really the last comments reply video, and just go through the various videos and see what everyone's put there. This is Women in Ufology. I haven't been uploading every single video to BitChute because it doesn't accept your BitChute. The long videos it really doesn't like, and some of the short videos it doesn't like either. No comments. March for life. No comments. What's events this week? This is, well, Hospital Porter's Pride and Dick. Okay, right. She Kills You, says Peter Nimictool. And there's a link here. What's this? What's this here? This is Peter Nimictool.
Hello, my friend.
It's a quite a long video. I'll have to watch that later. But thanks, Petra Nimictool. I think that's a Romanian name. I have to watch that later. Did DJ B2? Hi, DJ. Says, hope you're doing well, Ben. Thanks, DJ. Much appreciated. I'm glad you're on BitChute too. Right. And 9/11 20th anniversary live stream. BBTT says, try this, my friends. It's a link. Alright, Self-Preservation Society, BDTT. Alright, why am I saying all this? Please share, especially on Telegram, visit my channel. Now this is a 27-minute video, so I'll have to watch that later. But thanks very much. Trump in Britain banned. Secrets of Newbury wouldn't go on to BitChute. CF Story says, still supporting BitChute? Shame on you. No, I'm not... CB, I'm not. This is a video critical of BitChute. I don't see why I shouldn't use them. As Paul Joseph Watson says, we just use it till the wheels drop off. I don't think we should be boycotting YouTube actively. There's too much else at stake right now, and you never know. You need all the outlets you can get. It's not perfect, but then that's why we have all tech platforms. All right, Odyssey. Let's go to Odyssey now. Now, unfortunately, on Odyssey, your notifications go back 10 days and no further. But I have been. What I'll do is I will I'll do what I did on. I'll do what I did. If there's nothing in the notifications section, I will go to the videos and do what I've just done on there. Blah de blah. Nothing in the notifications, it seems. So I'll just go to my catalogue and just go through the videos. I've got to do Rumble and Brand YouTube as well. Okay, so women in ufology. No comments. Gareth Davis Memorial Livestream. Frank Triggs. All right. Oh, hello, Frank. You. Oh, right. Right. Oh, here we go. Right. Oh, there's a reply. Hang on. Okay. Oh, no, I've already replied by text. Frank says, I'll just do this as well. Ben, YouTube deleted my message on this video. Don't know why. Didn't mention anything prohibited. I've saved everything off Gareth's SoundCloud. Lots of podcasts had no download button, so I used alternative methods. I've also saved his entire website, so you have all the descriptions of each podcast and all these images made. Can be viewed or browsed offline. It comes to 15.5 gigs, just over the limit of my Google Drive, which is 15 gigs. P.S. Matthew Williams emailed me this morning with the address and time of the memorial service and the wake drink after. Looked at getting a train ticket, but it's just too expensive for me, around £140 off peak return. And Swansea Florists are about 3 times more expensive than here in Kent. £315 for Letters Mindset, £270 for Gareth. My brother's cost £90 for Brother a couple of months ago. Oh, I'm sorry for your loss, Frank, I am. Going to have to send a bouquet, sadly. Wish I could be there. Was going to meet Gareth at the barge in December. It was all arranged, so sad. Yeah, it was, Frank. I'm sorry about that. And I explained, I just replied to that. And I appreciate, if you save these things, Frank, that's really great. And just keep me posted with that. I don't have the storage space for them right now. 15 gigs seems very small, if you manage to compress them. I have some that are actually... I hope to have some that are a bit smaller in size. Hang on, which me and anyway, Frank says here, hope the memorial went well. I'd hoped for a live stream link to watch along, but Matthew Williams said it wasn't going to happen to respect the family's wishes. Yeah, he did actually. He recorded it though. It's on his channel. I managed to get all of Gareth's first podcast as well, Nervous Teeth from 2005 to 2008. Oh, I'd love to see, Frank. I'd love to see that. 4 years worth of weekly podcasts. I'm only missing one episode, 79. Currently sourcing all the first season of the Mindset podcast too, which isn't on the SoundCloud, using Wayback Machine. I'll be uploading the entire archive for everybody when the SoundCloud and Mindset Central websites are taken down. I'm going to need about 50 gigabytes of web space for everything. Also, I found his very first website from the 90s. It's a news and commentary about current events and conspiracies. Had a forum too. Also found his photo collections. He posted photos when he was a nipper and a teenager in Swansea, usually with a beer in hand, lol. Edit. Amongst the MP3s I found, Gareth posted a goodbye one when he finished the first season in 2017. I've heard that one, yeah. I've uploaded it to YouTube as my tribute here. Warning, it will make me cry. I literally bawled my eyes out when I heard it. I've seen this. Oh, this is lovely. Frank, I've got to sub to you. I've subbed to you. Okay. Just keep me posted with things, will you? This is really good of you. Let me know, because I'd love to help you share this stuff around. March for Life. All right, here we go. Frank says, good for you, Ben, for walking the walk. You're not wrong about this. There can be no debate about what's right and what is right. It's not anyone's choice who lives or dies. And Shelley of the Herd said, wish we could pass laws on our not becoming a dystopian nightmare on society itself. Oh, Shelley, yes. One day we will. One day we will. But it's gonna be a long, hard road. They're not going to go quietly. Events this week. Luckily, Odyssey's a lot easier to upload to. No comments. 9/11 20th anniversary. No comments. Secrets of Newbury 2. No comments. Trump in Britain banned. No comments. Okay, just go to Rumble. I've only uploaded about 8 videos to Rumble, but I'll just check the comments, the replies I've had. Let's have a look at my content. I should get notifications for them, but I'll just go March for Life. I'll have to just go through them here. No comments. Trump in Britain banned. These are the only ones I've uploaded since the last reply to comments video. Oh, I've had Laxley says here. Cheers, Ben. This is Lalski. Lalski says. Cheers. I posted this comment before. I'll just put. All right. Okay. I'll put like a couple of these on here. All right. Okay. I'm not allowed to post. I can't post a notification on Rumble. All right. Cheers, Ben. By the way, Trump is an illusion to create delusion. Parks, Ward, MLK, etc., all have been utilised by the deep state, whether they realise it or not. I so hope I'm wrong on this, but it's reasonably obvious if you think about it. Who is it that gives the inside information on these guys? The freaks in power are masters of manipulation, have been for millennia. The only saviour of mankind is the 7.8 billion, maybe, on Earth. Time we make our enemies ran over. I said thanks for the comment, Latter. I don't think there's any evidence. See, the people you're talking about here. Now, I don't know all these people here. Simon Parks, I don't think there's any evidence to suggest that he's suffering from being utilised or anything by the deep state. He has nothing to gain by it, and he's not being used to create delusion. Charlie Ward, I think some of the things he says I don't agree with, but I don't think he's being deceptive. Mel K, I don't know very well. I don't know her very well. So, okay, now it's time for, where are we now? Okay, now I'll go to, no, hang on, I've got a couple more on here. Oh, Trump in Britain banned. I uploaded Trump in Britain banned to YouTube. Hang on, sorry. Trump in Britain banned. I've done that one, haven't I? Yeah, that's actually. And then Trump in Britain banned on YouTube. As soon as this happened, I uploaded the banned video to YouTube. Okay, it's no comments on there. So I'll go down to brand new tube. Brand new tube, okay. It's been playing up a bit. It's suffering from bugs. Brand new, here we go, right. So I'll go to my content. I couldn't upload a video which they said was too long, was too big in terms of the file, and it was wrong, it wasn't. Let's have a look anyway. I've got 3 notifications. Takes a while to upload. Come on in. Oh, it's slow. It's very slow. I'll refresh. It has like a progress thing going across it. Notifications. I don't think I'll be able to access brand YouTube. There's actually a trending term which is brand YouTube not working, and I think it has it. I tried to upload Trump in Britain, which is only it's 565 megabytes, and it said this video your file size is limited to 1 gigabyte only, and I thought this is only just over half a gigabyte. What are you talking about? And now I can't access it at all. Okay, I think we're going to have to go along without the. I think we're going to have to do without the brand new YouTube comments if I have any. So I have to apologise for the people who are there. So I'll go back to YouTube and do a little refresh here of channel comments and mentions. Okay, so this doesn't update very quickly, but I'll just check that. So what I'll do now is I will go to YouTube and I'll go to the notification tab. I've got 5 notifications. Clive Hamilton, shut up. So Clive Hamilton was always on my YouTube homepage for some reason. Right. Notifications. Where are we now? Sticks. Oh, I've got notifications for users. I've got Louis James here. I think he's the only one who says here, did you see the Frank's live stream? The whole Howl crew were in. Tony L. Percy was a great. Oh, Tony Percy, I didn't know. But, Tony Percy, I didn't realise had appeared on any videos. I know I know Louis. I know that he was always commenting. I didn't realise he'd actually appeared on any videos. Okay, so I'll go back now. That's it. That's the lot. Oh, what's this one here? I've got a comment on somebody's. Oh, that's on. I put a comment on Comrade Dad. It's not my own video. It's just like a comedy video I quite like. All right, guys. Well, that's it. That's the end of this comments reply video. It's gone to almost 4 hours, so I will make it a 2-parter, I think. But much appreciated, all of you, for what you've done, all the comments you've given me. Some very thought-provoking ones. I've had some challenging ones this week. People disagree with me, and they put what they say, and that's good. It's good, robust conversation. I believe I have answered them to the best of my abilities. I've only had to delete a couple. Mostly it was the ones to do with Gareth mainly. But appreciate you joining me in. There'll be another one as soon as possible. In fact, I'm actually editing an Alt Tech exclusive at the moment. I will post an Alt Tech notice on the YouTube channel when that goes live. Okay, so check that out. In the meantime, keep watching, keep commenting. Thank you for watching HPANWO TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order.